Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Linda Sue with Linda Sue Plants for You. And I welcome you all back who have joined me for the first time, and those of you that are following me and have subscribed to me. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, today, and you guys are probably going to laugh at me because we just did this not too long ago, but here's the problem. I took cuttings from my mother plant, my Jade, variegated Jade, and she did so well. These cuttings, all rooted. I have another one. There's a fourth one that's about this size with a couple extra in it, and I gave that one to my daughter. My granddaughter wanted one originally but changed her mind, so we're going to put all three of these back in with the mother plant. And that was the whole idea in the first place. I wanted to make this fuller. So, and I wanted to put it in a terracotta pot, but unfortunately I don't have any that are bigger. I have one like this that's a little bit deeper, but that's not going to help me. I need to fit these in here. So I'm going to do that in a plastic pot, although not my first choice, but that's what we're going to do today. I know that some of you were concerned about whether or not these were going to root, or if I should have left them callus over. I didn't do any of that. Now this one feels a little bit weak. I don't know what's going on. We'll see when we take it out of the pot. But these they're rooted. They're in there, and so are the leaves that I laid on the side. They're rooted, and it hasn't been that long. I should have probably looked on my YouTube account to see when I actually did this, because I don't remember. I just know it wasn't that long ago. Month or two, maybe. So she is a fast grower, and if you remember in the last video, my goal here is I didn't necessarily want this to be rounded. I want it to be arched, like one that I had many years ago. So what I am going to do today is snip off, and when I grab my snippers, I want this to be like arch shaped from side to side, like the one that I got from my mom many, many years ago that ended up dying during a winter move. So that's what we're going to do today. And although I could put this off a little while yet, the other reason is these are taking up a lot of room on my table under my two LED lights, and I desperately need that space for something else. So, okay, without going into too much more explanation here, let me just set this aside. And the other thing I would like to do today is my Philodendron Bloody Mary. And one of the things I want to talk about is this plant was a cutting from my friend Suzette, of course. And it was very tiny. She said it was just a little baby from her mother plant. And I was excited to get it because I saw her plant, and it's big, it's huge, it's gorgeous. I love the burgundy, the color of the leaves. But it wasn't doing much. It was surviving. I did have to repot it from a smaller pot. I had to upsize the pot a little bit. But it was kind of just, I don't know how to even explain. It was just kind of hanging around. It didn't perform. It wasn't growing very much. Well, you all know that I just got through a really bad time of thrips. And, well, those of you that follow me know that. And when I sprayed her, I've treated her twice now. And when I did that, and I used Captain Jack's Dead Bug. That's all I used on her. And I should say most of her leaves for the longest time were this size. And all of a sudden I was sitting in my chair one evening, and the way the light was hitting the plant, I said to my hubby, I said, what the heck is that sticking out of my plant? And it was this leaf. Or wait, it was either that one or this one. Either way, it was a really long leaf that I wasn't used to seeing. And I said, holy cow, look at how big those leaves got. Now, I should say here, just for clarification, these leaves are still not very big for what kind of plant this is. This plant gets huge leaves on it, but like I said, I started out with such a tiny cutting, I was just happy to get what I did out of it. But one of the things that was happening is these leaves were, when a new leaf grew, it would grow back into the stem of this leaf, and I wasn't catching it right away. So now I'm really keeping a close eye, and as you can see, I just pulled this out yesterday. This was stuck back in the stem, and there's another new leaf coming out through the top here. So I am very, very excited about this plant. And like I started to say, once I treated it for the thrips, it took off. So it had to have been affected by those, or something. It could have been something else, but I'm assuming it was the thrips. So today we're gonna quickly stick that in a new pot. And the other thing that, when I was talking to Suzette the other day, she reminded me that, you know, you can really never overpot a philodendron. They'll fill up the pot fast, and they're fast growers generally, most of them. And when I was thinking about that, I thought, you know, I think I can even go this size higher. Normally I would not recommend that, and I still wouldn't for some plants, and the reason is because if they're not fast growers or they don't have a big root system, and you put it in a pot this much bigger than this, and that's all soil in there, when you water it, your plant is only going to take up so much water, and the rest you have to count on drying out before the roots rot. So that's the reasoning for not over potting plants, you know, normally. But when it comes to philodendrons, I haven't had that problem. And I think pothos was the other one. My pearls and jade pothos, I just did a video on that too. And that was, I put that in a big tall vase, and then it had like 7 or 8 leaves on it, and now it's just, there's got to be 30 leaves on there in a very short period of time. So it didn't have a problem. I will say to be careful though when you water. I wouldn't soak. I'm not going to soak this whole pot. I'm still going to, you know, water kind of on the medium to light side until the roots start to fill up in here. So that's that. Now I am going to put some soil in here. And I am so pumped right now because our weather is, I'm in southeastern Wisconsin, and we just got out of February. 2 weeks ago we were in 20 below zero weather. No, actually it was, with wind chill, it was up near 40 below. And that was pretty cold. And now we're March 2nd, and we got 50 degrees today. So, and I think it's going to be in the mid-50s to maybe even hit 60 next week, which is just wonderful. Just wonderful. I'm excited. Very excited. And while I'm not a big hot weather person, I don't mind the cold. After a long, hard winter, I do appreciate the change of season. And I do get a little antsy to, you know, for spring. Just like anybody else, I guess. I don't wish winter to be here 24/7. Now, as you can see, hopefully you can see, the soil in here is still quite loose, and that's because it wasn't that long ago that I put this in this pot. But I want to give her the best chance at growing a big root system and one that will support what's going on top. I think I'm going to just leave her connected to that support pole there. And she may already be root bound. Wouldn't that be something? My plants grow all winter. I don't, I mean, I guess with the exception of, I don't even think there is an exception. I can't think of one plant that I have that did not grow during the winter months. Okay. But as soon as we added an extra hour of daylight and the sun started shining more than peeking through the clouds for a week straight, we ended up, my plants just really started taking off. So I got a lot of new growth, and some of them needed repotting already. So now there's not much of a root ball on here. It's not a huge root system, but I'm gonna go ahead and put her in here anyway. I'm feeling pretty confident that she's gonna need to be in here shortly, and so that's what we're gonna do. All right, a couple more scoops of soil. Some of you have asked me what kind of soil mixture I use for certain plants. And, you know, it really just kind of depends on the plant and what's available. For the whole winter, my husband, back in fall, he went to Fleeton Farm and he got me about 6 bags, big bags of soil, that Fox Farm soil it's called. And I was using Leapfrog, I think. I don't remember, but Fox Farm, it's in a big blue bag, organic soil. And that's what I used. I'm down to 1 bag, so I have been repotting through the winter. And I mix it with perlite. So I want to say for most plants, it's about 2/3 soil and 1/3 perlite. But keep in mind, this soil has little bits of other things in it that I want to say it's orchid bark, but I'm not sure if it's orchid bark or if it's charcoal. They're very tiny, and I guess I could have looked at the packaging, but it's not important. I no longer add orchid bark to my plants because I really felt like that was contributing. I had a fungus gnat problem for the longest time, and no matter what I did, I just couldn't seem to get rid of them. And then one day, I was watering my plants, and I thought, you know, fungus gnats feed on rotting and decaying plant matter. Well, bark is plant matter. And although it's hard when you put it in there, once you water, and well, not once you water, because it usually takes a couple waterings for that bark to actually hold that moisture. But once it does, it doesn't dry out unless you let that plant dry beyond the point of where your plant's going to be comfortable. So I came to the conclusion, and I may be way off the beam on this, but I came to the conclusion that that orchid bark can't be helping my fungus gnat problem. If they're feeding on you know, rotting organic material, well, then they might be feeding on that bark. I might be, you know, making a perfect home for them. So I stopped using it. I repotted a lot of my plants without it. And I will still use it. I've got 2 bags here that I have to use up. I'll use it outside. But I'm not going to use that in the house anymore because since I got rid of that in my plants, I haven't had any fungus gnats. Now, you know, could that be a coincidence? I guess it could. But I'm happy with the results, so I'm just going to run with that for now. And, you know, if I end up with more fungus gnats, then, well, I'm not even sure that that'll tell me anything in particular, only because you can bring those in through soil, you know. I've had a couple bags of soil over the years that have, now, I just want to mention right here, I'm pulling this up a little bit because she went a little bit too deep, and we do not, one thing you never ever want to do, if you don't already know this, folks, whenever you plant a plant, well, and that's mostly for indoor plants and some outdoor plants. There are some exceptions to this, but 99% of the time, you never want to go higher with your new soil line than where it originally was, because if that stem of that plant is not used to being wet, it's going to rot. Okay? So, I think we're good there. She's going to settle down a little. But, isn't she pretty? I'm so excited. I am so excited about this plant. I cannot wait. And like I said, most of the leaves were between this size and this size. And now look at them. That's like double the size of this. And if it continues that, it's going to be even bigger. And that's my Philodendron Bloody Mary. I think she's going to be happy. Oh, I also wanted to mention, if you guys saw my last video, there was a little segment in there where my camera appeared to get really blurry. But I realized when I was editing it, watching it, that this was the culprit. This was sticking out of the pot, and the camera was focusing on this, and I think it's because it's a bright white. Now, I don't know if it's doing that now, but as soon as I took that out of the pot and laid it down, the blurriness disappeared. So I think that's what was causing that. But that was an hour-long video, and I obviously didn't want to have to redo the whole thing, so I just wanted to let you know that I was aware of it, but I didn't have any control over that. I probably could have figured out a way to edit it out, but my editing skills are not too sharp, so I am working on it. I'm working on it. Okay. All right. Well, I had to pause you because I was about to have a coughing fit, and I didn't want to do that in your ear. Sometimes the dust, when the soil is really dry, the perlite dust gets caught in my throat, and it makes me cough. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of my granules in, and I wanted to show you that as well. This is bonide systemic. Yes, it's a systemic. I'm using that in conjunction with the Captain Jack's dead bug spray. This will kill any eggs or larvae that are in the soil, along with other pests. If you have, mealybugs or, mealybugs, thrips, any kind of eggs, larva eggs, it will kill it. And I'm also going to put a little of my worm castings on because we're in spring now. Not officially, but I think that's what my plants think, and that's how I feel, so. And this is just, I don't know the brand name, but it's just worm castings. Any kind of worm castings will do. And this is just a gentle fertilizer that will seep down every time you water. A little bit more is released. This does not take the place of regular fertilizer, however. I do still fertilize with my Jack's. Used to be called Peter's, it's now called Jack's. and it's a blue granule. It's it is a synthetic fertilizer, but it's one that I've used my whole life, and I've always had success with it. I did try to use a fish emulsion, and I know a lot of people have great success with that. I didn't. I had issues with my plants. I don't know if it's because they weren't used to it or I did something wrong. I just don't know. But and I only used it 1/4 strength of what it called for, and I was getting burning and spots and stuff on my plants. So I'm gonna save that for outside too. And I went back to my my trusty old Jacks, and that's what I'm gonna use because I'm 67 and I started using it in my 20s and I never had an issue. So I'm gonna give her a little water. And she was very dry, so this time around I am giving her quite a drink. Okay. And I want the water to go all the way through. And then on the next watering, I'll probably use about half of what I'm using right now. Because the soil that was around her was very dry, and the soil in my bin was very, very dry. And that was done on purpose, because I didn't want to give any comfort to the thrips. So I let my spare soil dry out too, because most plant pests, larvae and things don't like that, and some of them will die because they're not getting that moisture. Okay. I think I might have put a little bit too much in, but we're just going to set her aside here. And I really wish I had a terracotta pot this size, but I don't. So she's going to have to go in here. And my daughter got these from somebody, and whoever it was must have been in a hurry and they clipped off the hanger instead of taking them out. But I'm not going to, I'm not going to worry about that right now, because I don't expect it to be in here for the duration. As soon as I am able, I'm going to be getting some more terracotta, especially for my cactus and succulents. Whew. I probably should have sprayed this down just a little bit. That perlite dust is not good to breathe in. Okay. Alright, I think first thing we're going to do is take the mother plant out of her spot here. And I'm just going to dig around. I'm sorry for the banging and clanging. I'm just going to dig around the outer edge This is important to do, especially with terracotta, because roots tend to grab on to the terracotta medium. And I want this to go as smooth as possible. I do have a spatula that I normally use for this. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, I see it. There we go. Oh, it's so nice to see that sunshine. Oh. It's kind of like waking up after a bad dream, isn't it? And I'll tell you, we had some pretty bad cloudy days here for quite some time. I mean, I think we were going on maybe the 5th or 6th day of absolutely no sunshine. And that does a number on me and my plants. No matter how much light I gave them, they really perked up when that sun came out. There's just nothing like good old-fashioned sunshine. For us and the plants and animals. Okay. Now, I think I should probably see how far down. Oh yeah, they're really in there. Now these are the leaves that I just set down in here. I want to see if I can try and pull it out separately. Oh, yep, I knew that was going to happen. Well, there's one. Look at the roots. So if you if you have a jade plant and she's spindly looking or tall and leggy, this is the way to fix that. You know, just cut off a few leaves and set them on the side of the pot with just the tip of them touching the soil. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. Sometimes these things will root without soil. I've had them where they fell off in the windowsill and they got roots while they were laying on the windowsill. So, and see her roots? And that's all from this one leaf. You see how I had the tip down in the soil? All those new leaves are from this one leaf. So they're super easy to propagate. Lots of roots. And there's another one starting here. Actually, I think this one is coming up from the mother plant. Is it? Or no? Yep. So we're going to leave that. going to try to get the rest of these all in one piece. Wish me luck. I'm going to have to stand for this. Oh, yay. Oh, that's nice. Some got caught there. Oh, I got too much soil now. And I am reusing this soil just because I just did this. The soil hasn't even been in here a month or two, so a little deeper. I have a habit of not putting my plants down in the soil deep enough, and then when I water them, the water goes all over. So I want to make sure. Okay. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you, for my cacti and succulents, I do add sand to that mix that I just told you. So it's 2/3 potting soil and 1/3 perlite and a handful or so of sand for this size pot. I started using that quite a few years ago, and they seem to like it better than without the sand. And I'm going to add a little bit. This is River Rock. I get this at Lowe's. It's $4.99 a jar, and I'm only going to put a little bit in, also to help with drainage. So we're just going to sprinkle it around here a little bit. It just helps to break up the soil. And the sand I get at Stein's Garden Center, it's actually decorative sand. Hopefully you can see that. It's sand for topping off pots, but I use it in my soil too. So. And for those of you that are new to the plant world, don't worry so much about this. This is the way I do it, and everyone does it a little different. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just different. You have to find what works best for you, and oftentimes what works best for some people doesn't work good for others. One of the things to keep in mind is your watering skills, or I should say methods. If you're a heavy waterer, the more drainage you've got in the soil, obviously the better. If you're not a heavy waterer, and I'm not, I tend to underwater. You don't need to worry about it quite as much. I have one friend that's an admitted heavy waterer, and so her you know, plant chores or whatever. Her method of doing things is totally different from mine because we water so differently that she waters more often and she waters more heavily. Okay. And be careful with these. I found out the hard way. If you're repotting in your kitchen, anywhere near your sink, or if you wash your pots in the kitchen sink, like I sometimes do, make sure that you keep the soil, get all of the soil out of your pots before you wash them. I mean, you don't want that soil going down your drain because it's going to plug up your drain eventually. That's a given. But the other side of this is if you've got any of those little tiny stones, and even though you don't add them, sometimes they're in the soil when you buy a plant. And it only takes one teeny tiny stone to stop the garbage disposal. Now, I had one, I want to show you. That is about the size of what the stone was. Hopefully you can see that. It didn't stop at that time. It just, I could hear it crunching really bad. And when I pulled it out, it was still the same size. So it wasn't cutting it or breaking it down. And it was just a matter of time before it got caught in there. So I very quickly removed it. And it was an accident. I don't even know how it got in there because I'm usually very careful about not getting things in my drain. Oh, that would not have been good. Garbage disposals are not cheap. And I'm pretty fussy about that anyway. We're old school. We still use real butter. And I buy them by the, you know, I get a pound of butter with the four cubes, quarter, you know, the quarter pieces in there. And I put it on a plate. And obviously there's always some residue on there. And I don't ever put that in my sink either. I wipe it off really good with a paper towel. And try to get all of the oil and butter off of it before I rinse it in my sink. Some people don't realize how, you know, the havoc that plays down where they can't see what's going on, and then all of a sudden one day their drains are plugged and they got to call a plumber, and they're not cheap. That's for sure. We don't have to call a plumber because my husband is pretty adept in fixing things, so I'm very, very fortunate that way, but I don't want him to have to fix it either, so I'm pretty careful. Okay, I think we got enough in there. Can always add some later. You know, the soil does settle after a while. We want to make sure we get the air pockets out though, because you don't want any of the roots to get passed by. Okay. And we got these little guys. Ugh, I probably shouldn't have put all that in there. I got brain fog here, folks. I'm sorry. I need to make room for... I'm looking at these little cuttings. I gotta get the big ones out. I gotta get the big ones in here first. Okay. Okay. I'm going to have to pause you all for a moment. My husband just walked in with a treasure, and I'm going to show it to you, so stand by while I give him my undivided attention for a few minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. He walked in the door with a surprise for me, and I wanted to show it to you. Move this out of the way for a moment. Look at how pretty. Look at the handle and the detail on this thing. So, I went and got what I planted the other day, and you can see this in a video, because I thought these would look really nice together. My little ruby cascade. Now I just have to find something to plant in here, and they can sit together on the table. How cool. Alright. I just wanted to share that with you all. He's such a good hubby. He's always bringing home treasures. Okay. Back to the task at hand. Now remember, I don't want this to get rounded, right? But I guess I'm not going to have much choice here, because if I want to make this thicker, I got to put these in here. This one's already going way out. I probably should have just moved this whole thing over in the pot, but I'm a little late now, and I don't want to redo all that, so I'm going to just see if I can't stick this in here. And I'm also going to cut this off because it's too tall here. So I think right about there would be good. I want it to bush out. So maybe even a little further down. I think right here would be good. Don't worry, folks. I know some of you got worried last time when I did this, and now you can see the fruits of our labor. It doesn't hurt the plant. It really doesn't. Okay. And I'm going to stick her right back in this pot. I better take one more leaf off. One thing that is really important to note here is you don't want these leaves to touch the soil except on the very end where you want them to root. So when you do put a leaf in there, yes, it's okay to put the tip, this tip edge into the soil. But you don't want these laying on the soil, because if it's too wet, it will rot. Okay. Alright. Now on this side we're going to put this in here. And I'm running into roots, so this is going to be a little bit hairy. I gotta take some of this back out. And lighting requirements for this plant is very bright light. I usually keep it in a south or a southwest window. Now these were rooting on top of a table in my west window. These were. And I had this there too. But it was under 2 LED lights. A lamp with 2 LED lights. So that's a lot of light. She's got roots, but she doesn't have a plant on her yet, but that's okay. We're going to plant her up. And there's another one in here too. She's got roots. We're going to stick those in at the end. I'm going to get these big ones down in here and get them secure first. This one is almost too long already for what I'm after, but we're going to let it go. I can always cut it off later. Okay. Squeeze the pot and take out the old plant. Wow, look at the roots. And like I said, these have only been in here for... I wish I would have looked before I did this so I could tell you. It's not long though. It's just a month or two. Not a long time. Look. For those of you that were worried when I cut these off and stuck them in the soil without rooting them first, that's the outcome. And I let this plant get pretty dry before I put water in. And let's see, what do I mean by pretty dry? I let her dry out just about completely. I don't use a moisture meter much. I do use it occasionally. I've got a Pilea peperomioides. I'm trying to say it the right way because I've been saying it wrong for years. I've been saying Pilea peperomoides, and it's supposed to be Pilea peperomioides. There we go. So I stumble on it, but you all know what I mean, right? And I know that my friends who watch me are not judgmental, so. Now, why did I do that? Thought I had another pot there, but I didn't. Okay. We're going to put these in here then. Put some soil back in here. And you all are so patient with me. I sure do appreciate that. I know the world is very fast, strong and fast, and go, go, go. And some people like that, especially the young people. I get it. It wasn't that long ago that I was young. It seems like yesterday. I honestly don't know where my whole life went. So I get it. But when you get older, and especially if you get older and have health issues, you appreciate the slower pace because nothing works like it used to. Your eyes don't work right, your hearing doesn't work right, your balance doesn't work right. All those things affect how you take in the world around you. And it's not that older people want to be crabby, they're just frustrated. You know, there's times when I have to make a business call, and because yes, I am still working in real estate. I'm not physically working. I have a team working for me now, but I'm not driving, but I'm still working. And you know, sometimes I have to make a call to an entity, whether it be a lender or an inspector or an appraiser, and sometimes the people that I have to deal with are so used to dealing with, you know, 20, 30-year-olds that they don't realize. And I've had to ask them, can you please just slow down and say that one more time? And some people are very nice. They're very accommodating. They apologize and say, oh, of course I can, I'm sorry. And other people are rather rude about it, and I can't change that. I can't do anything about it. But it makes me sad because you're all going to be there someday. Hopefully, you'll make it to old age. And I know that young people feel like if they just, you know, they're working out on their exercise machine and they're eating the right way and doing all that, that's going to save them from that. Yes, it will help because you guys have a lot of availability of things that we didn't have years ago. So that will help, thank goodness. But keep in mind, it's not a cure-all. Your body is going to age regardless of how well you take care of it. And when you get to be to that age, you're going to appreciate people who have patience for you. I know I do. My daughter, for one, is very good at that. She's very, very patient. She helped me take care of my dad before he died, and she helps me with my mom, and she's a very good very caring person and a very good caregiver. And we need more people like her in the world. All right. I want to get him in here too. Make a room. Put a little more swale in here. Be careful because I don't want to cover up any of the leaves. We don't need rotting leaves, right? Okay. I think we're good. I'm going to water it, and then I'm going to set the rest of these leaves on the outer edge so they can finish rooting. But I think she's looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with it. A little bit more. Okay, and we're going to put a little of our bonite granules. I've been using this for a number of years too. It works very well on all different kinds of pests. And I was trying to find a better way of distributing it. I had been using like a syringe, but that was making it blow all over, and I didn't like that. So then I thought, what about a squirt bottle? So I went to the Dollar Tree and I looked around, and lo and behold, in the picnic aisle, and they don't carry them year round, but they did happen to have them that day. You can get these in a package, 2 for $1, and they work great. So I just use a funnel and I pour my granules in here, and then when I need to, I just squirt a little out, and that does it. That's perfect. Okay, I want to put a little bit of my worm castings. Not to be confused with the Folgers coffee, like my hubby did one morning. He caught himself ahead of time, but I think I told you guys that story already. Pretty sure I did. I left it up on the counter because I happened to be working on the counter that day with my plants, and he opened this up and grabbed the scoop, and he said, "Oh, that don't feel right." Well, the scooper is different for one. But he caught himself, thank goodness. That would not have been good. Have worm castings in my coffee. And I probably wouldn't have known because it probably would turn the water brown. Wouldn't that have been something? Ew, ew. Okay. Alright, we're going to water her up now. I'm on the lookout for a new watering can. I saw one on, I don't remember the name of the video I was watching, but it had a shape, and I don't care for the shape of it, the look of it, because it looked too like from outer limits kind of thing, outer space. Let me finish doing this, and then I'll tell you about that. But the spout on his comes out from the bottom, which allows you to pour it without having to tip the pot all the way up, which was a real problem for me And I got so excited when I saw that. I thought, oh, that would work. And I didn't want to or I should say I did comment and I did ask him, or I made a comment about it that I was going to look for one. But I haven't been able to find one exactly like his. But I believe he was in Canada, so they may not have them here in the States. I don't know. I know they have some very close and similar, but okay. Here we are. We're done. Okay. See how I have all these leaves just sitting on the top here? They're just leaning against the side of the pot. Pull this one out a little bit. A little too deep. And those are going to all produce more babies. So, okay, we're done. This pot that he had, the spout, let me move this. The spout came out down here. It went straight out. So that when you water, when you get down to the bottom, right now, when I get about this far with the water, I gotta hold this thing upside down like this to get the water out of it. And if I'm watering over my head, which oftentimes I am, because I have a lot of hanging plants, and I'm short, so I've got my arm stretched out as far as I can, and I'm trying to tip this, and then I gotta grab it from the bottom because I can't tip it all the way over because it's too high. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, what a great invention. It's a straight, it doesn't curve like this, it's a straight spout, and it comes out at the bottom here. So even if there's only an inch of water left on, just a slight tip will make that water come out. So I'm looking for one of those. I searched the internet a couple of times now, and just not having any luck. So there, like I said, there are some that are very similar, but they're not exactly what I'm looking for. So all right, my friends, here we are. We're done. They're all in one pot together, and we've got our Philodendron Bloody Mary. So I'm excited. I'm so happy that I'm well enough to do this. I really, really enjoy potting my plants and repotting and getting my hands dirty and feeling the soil. I absolutely love that. It's so relaxing and so calming. And there's just something very fulfilling about being able to make more plants out of one plant. So I hope I've helped some of you. And I hope that if you have one of these, you'll try it. I know the variegated jades are kind of hard to find, but I think they'll be coming out with more of those here in the spring. And if not a variegated jade, then just get a regular one. I have one of those too that could probably use some repotting, but we'll see. But I think they're just beautiful. And if you like the tall look, that's okay too. You can trim these and make them so you've got like a bonsai look. These are perfect for that because the stems get very hard and very woody and very strong, almost like a tree. So you can use these for bonsai if that's what you like to do. I've seen these jades where they just grow up one stem, and then at the top is just a bunch of leaves, so it almost looks like a succulent palm tree, for lack of a better description. But yeah, there's a lot you can do with these. So give it a try, and if you have any questions, let me know. if you have this plant and you have any suggestions for me, I'm open to new ideas too. So, all right. Well, you all have a great day. And if you're lucky enough to have the sunshine, I hope you are. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and another great day tomorrow. I might be back tomorrow with another video. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Thank you. Bye now.